So there's this phrase in market trading called time and price. And people say, well, you got to be able to time the market. And so don't worry about timing the market, just get in. If you think it's going to be bullish for the next 100 years, there might be a couple of sell offs. Just get the fuck in. And every time it sells off, maybe you buy a little bit more. Now, that'd be the wise thing to do if you really are bullish. Then what changed your mind, right? Trend traders, I'm sure, unless you're on a 1 minute chart, people are going to tell you, well, the stock market's in an uptrend. If you look at overall, if you run moving averages, a 200-day, and the whatever you pick for your filter of momentum filter, you're going to claim it's in an uptrend. You only take trades in that direction with a really tight ratio. Yes, you will make money, but when you look back on your score, you'll notice that you missed a lot of really kind of like when you're playing pool, you hit the first ball and some of the balls scatter, and you get this like, I got 3 balls in on the break, I'm already up. So you have a little bit of you can take a break. You don't have to trade, actually. You can wait for the perfect setup, so to speak. Although, always, when I hear that perfect setup, I always think of a guy just pulling the trigger on one trade at the market, saying, there you go, there's a setup. Okay, this news came out, blah, blah, blah. You get in. Now, when the news comes out, the market can go into uncharted water and just take off, because people are panicking about the price factor being so far off. The systems that are even long are saying we're making too much money, let's get out, because the volatility is the problem. It's too volatile. It's too fast up and down. The fluctuation in the account, I don't know if anybody has a AI that's or EA that's going to be able to compile that in real time and say, let's back out of this position because hopefully the targets for the scalps have been hit and the last 20% of the trade is just nothing but a drift. You could get out, you could take it and leave it. In a perfect world, you're getting in as the market, whatever you have in your account to absorb the entry on the smallest position of any broker will give you per ticket. So in my system, it's limit first. And if I have to, I bring in the Marines and I go in at the market. Actually, this is when I have to allow for a really wide stop because I get overexcited about the trade when I see it just pounding down. I'm thinking, yeah, come here, this is, oh my God, let's buy more. And then it just keeps tanking. And the limits are going to scoop up the rest, but my biggest problem is I'm too eager to take advantage of the situation. So, because if I happen to have the trigger, I'm pulling it in front of me when I see the situation. But now the limits, you may not get filled. And I may think, if I was there, I would have seen that, that it's not breaking into the, like it's done tanking, at least momentarily. So when I think it's, I'm just speaking for me. When the market's going down, I'm like, surely this is not going to go any lower. So I'd be buying pretty heavy at the market. But this is the problem. Unless you have the enough money per ticket to hold on to that position, what's the point? Because my point is that I don't want to miss the opportunity. So if it's going to tank another 200 pips, I'm willing to spend $20 a ticket, up to $20 a ticket, to make my 100 or 50. So I'd actually put a 100 pip stop to make 50 because when I see it happening in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to last. Just watching the tick chart. Oh, that's it. Are you kidding? And then we have an hour before the stock market opens. So the news comes out at 8:30. You're looking at this 1 hour window. This is the do or die window. And then, it could just totally reverse. So that's the orange or the yellow um, on the chart here. These are 4 hour blocks on top of a 1 hour chart, 1 hour bar chart, and then the line is the closing prices. So that's your typical, chart. Oh, well, it's typical for me to look at both the closing prices, which is the pattern. I believe the line chart is when people talk about chart patterns, I think they're referring to this head and shoulders and these double tops. Like here's a double top, right? This is kind of obvious shit. I think that's a no-brainer, The old double top, double bottom. Here's the triple. Here's head and shoulders. Here's a shoulder, head, shoulder. We've all seen this shit. Now, when it's happening underneath this, I suppose it's a bigger deal. I would say it is. It's a loss of momentum. This is a classic loss of momentum. Well, of course, you just crushed this. Whatever these prices mattered more than when it got here. So when it gets here, doesn't really matter. If you started stacked buy limits in here, say you're going to put like 10 tickets in here. And 10 tickets is your limit, and they fill the thing perfectly, and you got to stop here, master stop, tied to these 10 tickets, and you just ride that out. And after we come all the way back to the floor and everybody scalps out, maybe you hold on to a little bit more, and you go like, oh, there's double top on the 1 hour coming into the close of day, and here comes Asia. And it's like, oh boy. But you got buy limits here. You do the same thing here, almost makes it back beyond fair value, which would be right here, and it crushes all the way to here. You're like, shit. You could also be the guy that has sell limits here saying, well, this is stupid. Let's put sell limits right here. Sell higher highs. No, I'm selling higher highs. Thank you. Thank you very much. So there's so many ways to trade it. It's really hard to say, Some people want to be in this trade for like 3 months. And they're going to say, I made so much money in 3 months. I'll say, yes, you did. But the fucking equity swings in your account. So this is the problem psychologically. What can you handle as far as the swing? What's acceptable psychologically to take? On the 1 hour chart, this is, if you're buying this plunge, you're really kind of wondering if that was a good idea. Here's like confirmation. You have a top becomes a bottom on the 1 hour, and this is, I suppose, the 1, 2, 3. 3 is the biggest wave, and that's a classic. The high probability trade is to just get the fuck out here. You've already sat in this trade for here. You did leave something on the table, but look at this pullback here where they come and they clip out this zone. I just say they. It's just the leftover inventory. The prices matter, not like when it gets there. And this is easy. This is fast, easy money. Stocks are open, kicks back, rips up. I mean, that's over. In 1 hour, some guy made what it took you. Maybe you built a bigger position down there. So if you're actually buying every low here, like there's so many people making money. I used to think that was only one trade in here. Like if that's your only trade that you ever do is putting buy limits in these little areas here and just saying, yeah, if they stop me out, okay, look at this beautiful top tick Tommy, double top, just next to the wicks here. That's the entry. So the limit entries are here. The market orders would be sell, sell, sell every up. So there's 4 sells at the market. You're selling, you're selling, you're selling, sell. But meanwhile, you got limits here. Maybe you went short here on limits. You got a big fucking stop up here. Yeah, sure, do that fucking trade, because guess what? You build this whole position, you never get stopped out. Now, this is the other thing. I don't want to get stopped out. Dude, I got so many fucking bullets. I don't have to know how to shoot. That's the other thing about my system. You could be a fucking retard. Can you put buy limits in here tomorrow? I understand the stock market's supposed to crash like a whore. Sure, maybe it will. But didn't it supposed to crash like a whore here? And look at this thing rip. All the way back to the floor and beyond, into here. Right up, scooching right against the last orange session. You know, you can make all sorts of claims about each one of these prices. Maybe they're Fibonacci's, but in the end, what it really comes down to, if you notice this, as soon as you take out the low of the day, people are all over that shit. And it rips back in all the way back to the middle of that previous day. Just like this one, but this wave's bigger. This is a bigger wave. You know, some people, you might go, dude, I knew that was going to fucking happen, but you're like, I'm down fucking $1,500. My limit's $1,300 a day, and I just want $200 over. I know. So the market, the volatility is unknown. Future volatility is unknown. You may totally know, almost with certainty, maybe not risking everything. I don't know, it looks like you nicked the wick here, maybe. But see, even this, you wouldn't have bought enough here because it's too narrow of a slot. You can't just say, well, geez, I'm going to fucking buy so big here that it's going to be the same amount as I would buy every fucking handle all the way down and let this build a position with a stop here, right? If you build a position with a stop here, I would sit back and relax. I'd be like, dude, you're not touching me. Besides, if you stop me out, I know the exact math on this. This isn't some kind of... And then I have a cash out here. Yeah, I would say, sure, this ticket here, the ratio is pretty bad, right? I have to make to here to get out of that. So I'd have to ride that ticket all the way back to there, right? So when you're nesting all these limits in here, you can plan these trades out and go to sleep. I mean, presupposing you've got enough money for these tickets. I mean, this is a pretty hairy trade. I'd say that's about $50,000 risk right there, maybe some of these trades. If you even on you'd have to probably get a nano account or something to trade it, and that would have a wide spread to it. So the thing about it is, 80% of your tickets should be filling, I would say, with limits. The 80-20 rule. A little cliche like that. Maybe 90-10. That would mean that you're really good at picking the price. And these, if you slice it too thin, you'll probably have a hard time of it. This is a 4-hour block of time. And these are certainly the key. Like even this would be a trade that's probably worth quite a bit. Sell limits in this pocket. You get filled, you got a target of the low of that 4-hour, right? So you're either gonna sell that, cash out when it breaks here, or wait here with buy limits, or do both. You got buy limits sitting in here. Now this would be the more expensive trade because you'd be filling all these tickets. And if you were there, you're there to pull the trigger as it closed below here. Wow, that's a fucking trade. If I see that, this is where I get a little overexcited, and sometimes the market goes like this, to be honest. Well, in the yen, that'll happen. You'll be like, but yeah, and you're like, yeah, What about all this fucking vacuum? And that's what I made fun of the Pike guy, because he says the abyss. I'm like, dude, you don't even know. Like, can you imagine you're buying this going, wow, look at this fucking, damn, buy that. Oof, oh, down hard. Don't buy this, right? But buy here again, and buy here, and just sit back and go, wow, let me know when it pulls back. Buy here. Well, this is like the last buy, but if you put a stop in too tight when you buy here, they came back and they stopped me out, and then they ripped up. So you got to be able to afford, I would say, honestly, you got to be able to afford to absorb at least 10 tickets into these things. Now, you want to space them wider. When the volatility kicks up, you or your robot's going to put the tickets in wider, right? This is the normal logic is market's viciously down. If you're going to do it, or the robot, and then you come in and you're going to buy here because it's such a harsh pullback. Like, that's a big fucking size. So you buy a little bit here at the market. And then you got limits sitting here coming into the open. And you've got scalps in there, and you've got swings that come back to here. So you're just thinking about the other side, right? Well, it's easier for me to think about a buy, a whole bounce strategy as the market tumbles into my buy limits than it is to sell here and think, well, I'm going to ride it down. I just can't. Now, if I buy a little bit here, scalp to here, get out, now throw the limits, and as soon as I make my first profit in the scalp, I'm going to come up with limits again. So it's going to go switching between limits and market, depending. I'm getting out at the market, so I'm actually selling at the market. When I take profits, I usually take the whole thing off. I don't take a little bit off. I'm just going to dump the whole thing, so it's a load up on time, load up on price of new prices are down, whether that's 3 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't matter for the limits, because that's what I was planning to do anyways. And they're spaced wide enough that, I'm spreading the risk. Now at the market, that's just like where you can get hurt if you get too excited about the trade. And, or you're afraid to get at the market, and now the market doesn't tank into your limits. So what you're trying to do is actually set up a coffee shop ahead of the fact that people are going to want coffee a little bit, right? Don't you want to be there when they find out coffee cures everything? And you're the one that has the whole street. You own all the coffee roasters, You're like, yeah, fucking nice, huh? Look at this shit. People they fucking agree with me finally. And that's going to be it, right? And then you want to get out. Actually, you want to scalp that first price pulse, because what do people say? Wait a minute. Some judge and some health department said that no, sorry, you can't do that. You're making too much money, making people healthy, and we don't like that. It's unethical. According to what? Well, according to our view of ethics. Get used to it, right? I mean, wow. Okay. But this is NASDAQ. This is the tech wreck. But the drama in this fucking market, oh my God, I'll be here all day talking about this fucking chart. Ridiculous. Look at this shit. I must say, some of these scalps in here, unbelievable. If you didn't use the 4-hour chart, say you just started putting sell limits in here because you're like, yeah, if it goes any higher, just fucking get me in. Then it just comes ripping back. And you're out of that trade in like blink of an eye. And then this one here is the best. I mean, if you're really going to be one of these, take my course and learn how to make $1 zillion. Yeah, first we sold here on these new highs, top tick time. We scalped that. Then here we just went all in. We risked his whole account. We sold right to here. We had a stop here. He would have gone bankrupt if they had a stop. But we let that fucking load up. Like the guy with the fucking watch. The guy with the Rolex. I get this fucking Havana sandwich right here. Almost had to sit in the bleachers again. Back in the cheap seats. And then, oh, look at that, you're a fucking genius. And they cash everything out when it starts coming in here, and you're like, that's it. That's a trade. How many times is that going to come up? How many times that's coming up? So the textbook, that's how it is. How many times are you going to see that fucking trade? Well, just sell your whole fucking mortgage, everything right here. Top tick Tommy trade. And dump the rest here and be like, yep. Yeah, did that in fucking, 3 hours? Well, it took a while to build it here. Don't forget you had to scalp something back to the rooftop here, so you got your scalp off there. You got to take that one and then hold the rest. Here you could have bought too. This would have been more painful, but the same concept. You're going to buy this whole zone. Gets to here, you dump it. Maybe the rest of it rides. Here is the ultimate, really the ultimate bottom tick Bobby. And all these so fractally speaking, this is the exact same trade, but see, this is a little bit quicker and dirtier, and you get your money back pretty fast there, back to the rooftop, and then hold it till it takes out the U.S. session. So the range traders, 80% of the market's ranging, they're doing pretty good, right? And then the only time they get crushed is on this concept, if you don't adjust for volatility, is that you need to put your orders in like this. If you only got 10 tickets to make this the ultimate trade, what structure meets your size, and your stops here, and you dump maybe the whole thing to here, or you dump 80% less, let the rest 20 ride, get out. Yeah. So I'm trying to get a robot to do this trade, but he can't do it. Maybe if I described it like this, of course I'm only paying $20 a month for this chat. I've had it build some robots that if the market does get crazy like this, it starts to throw the tickets in. But the thing is, now you really have to. I know people think a robot can do this stuff, but maybe if you turn on a buy bot and said just buy fucking, but you can't let that robot be on after when the volatility dies down. The robot needs to turn itself off. So when the problem there is if you back test a robot that does a singular thing, right? If it just does a one-trick pony, but it's right 90% of the time, but it only gets called up for duty under very highly filtered conditions. Come on, are you kidding me? But that is the way to accommodate more conditions. To have one robot take the data. I'm assuming the same time frame and sift it all and make decisions. It's just too much overhead for one robot. Besides, then you can't find out which robot's doing the best overall, as crude as it may be. And but a human, I would suppose, is always going to be needed to assess the overall landscape of all the markets and based upon how the market responds to things, and you can see what's coming. And a lot of the headlines, you have to take those as signals of contrarianism, I would say. All the barking about gold, all the barking about like oil's way down, gold's way up, but gold's just a choppy mess. I would never invest in gold, because what if we come back to $2,000 an ounce? I mean, what are people going to say then? Um, which, would make more sense. If you end up with um, gas at $2 a gallon, yeah, I think you say goodbye to gold prices, because of you got to dig gold out of the ground, right? Why is gold so high? Is it because the banks are buying it up? Maybe they are. They're not the brightest people, let's face it. They do dumb shit. We bail them out typically, right? They fuck it up. The big bank bailout, too big to fail, because they're such ass clowns. They went and did all those mortgages, and I mean, they always got their fucking hands in something to save themselves. So we've been bailing out their gold trades. I can see that one's coming. Thank you very much. Thank you for going. So get ready for that one. Yeah, that's going to be the big victimhood, and then they're going to come after the Republicans. Yeah, you guys have to, all this, like this is so the liberals are running these drug ads. Well, the conservatives are running gold ads. I mean, I don't know, it's just so funny. Gold's not going to zero. Well, neither is land, right? It's just buy land. I mean, this is the thing. Definitely real estate's the place to be, right? You can see that. Look at that Letitia James bitch. Like, she's like, yeah, real estate, man. Come on, are you stupid? But no, this is a good gold coin. Look at my pocket, my cold dead hands, my pockets. I don't know, man. It's too much. So, yeah, the limit entry is the most relaxing kind of set a trap, for the varmints that come around the house and try to break in. And there you go. Feel safe, Put a minefield out there. A little barbed wire. Electric fence. Electronic fence now. I just track you. I do what they did at Waco. I play that fucking screaming animals, screaming rabbits. That'll keep them away. Oh yeah, just getting me a big fucking steel door. Give me a gate. Warehouse gate. That's what I'm putting on my house. You're not going to get in my house again. You know who you are. Jeez. Yeah, it's going to be something. I guess they're saying that the market's going to open up on its knees. I don't know. The gas actually went down this weekend. The oil, they're saying, oh, look at the oil spiked up here. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, dude. Like, nobody cares. People just don't care anymore. This time last year, was it that when that potato in chief was in there, with Mr. Potato Head? Dude, you just gotta have something better than popcorn, really. Corn pop. Get your popcorn for corn pop. Here it comes. Yep, he's a genius. Yes, he's the fucking most able dumb shit we found so far yet. So look at this big hysteria about crude oil here. This thing should be trading up at this is the weekly chart. It should be up here. I'm sorry. Like right here. Like Gulf Storm. This is just typical drama. What was this one about? What was this one about? Oh. You see the news. Is this really going to make its way to here? Maybe. There's a nice scalp. Weekly chart. So we can't even take out the high of the year. That's not even. Can't even take out the high of the year. So there you go. Pretty boring there. Maybe I'll get excited this week. Maybe I'll come back to some kind of spiky up drama. Everybody's head explode. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it. Oh no, what are we going to do? Oh, people. It's just so sad. We don't know what to do. Being alive is so difficult. Yeah. Until they come to your house and go, you know what? Yeah, we don't like you as much as we thought we did. I'm going to take you out. Here's the yen. Look at this fucking yen. Oh my god. Same story. A 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart's good. Nice patterns, easy money. Do the kickback trade here. I'd say this is like trading the NASDAQ, honestly. We got a grid here, 10 pip grid. These 50 pips from these big black lines, and these are 10 pips. So this is what I can handle doing, is these trades here, because I can get my brain around this trade. Right? You're buying here. You're going to sell into this floor, cash out. That's it, you're done. Sell top take Tommies. Cash out to the here. Take your first 30 pips and then let the rest go. You could have bought down here. Like you guys, there's so many trades where you can buy this plunge into this vacuum. Here you're buying this plunge here. Now this was a little rough, okay, so I lost money there. But this is just like if you don't plan deep, right? You got to plan deep on this. You got to be buy. You got to take your 30, your 40 pips. If you don't take these 40 pips along the way, that means you have enough money to keep fucking buying this plunge, okay? Now here you got to take your 50 pips. I'm sorry. If you bought this fresh void, hopefully, and you got, here's where you're going to need the 80 pip stop, the 60 pip stop to make the 60, 80 coming back. But that is a nice, that is probably the most satisfying scalp is when it comes back into this and you get in and you get out and it's over. Yeah. Same thing here. You're selling new highs, cash out, maybe sell again. You still got leftover limits that have expired, cash out again. And then that's it. It's over, right? The trade's over for me. So here's the euro trade, half-hour chart. It's a 4-hour filter on top. These are just simple trades for me. I don't want to try to wait for a moving average crossover so much. I get it. I mean, this is what people want to try to land a plane on a narrow landing strip. I say get 10 planes and let a couple crash. I just could care less about every fucking plane. I'm not trying to make everybody survive the flight. So I'm saying, you know what? Yeah, you were a little bit like you brought a pea shooter to a fucking bazooka fight. Sorry. So you have to have the big guns ready. So in the euro, if you got big ass tickets, sleeper cells down here, and you're like, dude, when they tag that shit, and maybe you got enough money to even buy this. I would say get enough money. The guy with the $10 thing, get enough money to be able to buy this, and you only fill this, and you got your scalps built in, and then you got your bigger targets. You can even go as far as putting a couple cells coming back the other way, and end up actually winning on both. You know, this is presupposing you. Well, you get the sizing right, because if this is a standard lot in here, or this is a 20K, or this is 500K, willing to buy $1 million if need be, then certainly you're going to be making some fucking good money, and hopefully you got some bigger targets. Like your target's here. You can already see your target. You see you're entering your target already here. So that's the nice thing is that this system you can see the future trade you need to be doing. It should be fucking obvious. If not, then turn off the video now. But you'd say, yeah, I tried what you're saying, and I put settlements in here, and they just crushed me. Yeah, but you see this wick? You needed to take 30 pips off the table here. If you didn't, then yeah, you're fucked. You are fucked. So maybe you kind of do less damage, but you're ready to do it again, right? Because you're a fucking trooper, so you sell here. Yeah, if you don't take your 20 pips over and over, right? Even the guy that's long kind of thinking, well, shit, I bought here. They stopped me out. I bought here. I know I'm right about the trade, so you could be the idiot buying here, and it comes back, and you're like, fuck, man, they keep stopping me out. Every time I get a signal to buy, my moving average crosses over here. I keep buying, and I'm like, fuck, and then it finally takes off, and I'm like, I didn't have targets up there. Shit. I got out of the trade here because my ratios are like 1 to 3. Well, they can't just be 1 to 3. You got to have 1 to 10. We got to have some bad ratios in there because if you bought this with bad ratios, you'd be like, damn, cash out. Ooh, cashed out. The sell side, yeah, okay. Well, you waited for the setup. It comes back to here. I'll pull the trigger and ride it down there. Okay, did you make as much money? Well, it depends. You had to trade pretty fucking big on this one trade to make up for the guy that just put limits in like a fucking slob and said, I'll just take anything down here because it's good price. Because this is called buy low, sell high, because you wouldn't want to fucking buy. You just sell low, sell high, buy low here, right? But you don't be waiting for that shit. Like if you could put sell limits in here and be like, yep, sting, yep, and then if you stayed until here, like, yeah, who made more money? Well, it's a lot more work on this trade, I gotta tell you. But you're gonna make more money because you did more work. That's usually how it goes in real life. 10 robots, each using a unique strategy. They're all pretty good. But you sell up into this thing, sell everything above here, and stay until it comes back here. You scalp this part, and then you rode it back in. If you could really do it. But if your goal is to make $1,000 in 10 hours, then if you made $1,000 here, you're like, I'm good. I made $1,000. That's my target, my goal. I'm trying to make money, dude. You close the doors. I mean, that's the beauty of it, really. There's no other business where you can close your doors. Like if you had a coffee shop, you probably stay open 24 hours if it's 24 hours. But here you can just say, I'm done for the day. I'm not going to piss anybody off either. Your broker, I don't think he gives a shit as long as you trade a little bit there. So he can pay for keeping track of your account and all that shit he's got to do. So that's that. Anyways, yeah, good luck. Good luck trying to predict the next amount of volatility that's coming. It could dry up. It could get hotter. And just think about how many bullets you got and how much area, how much landscape you're going to need if you're going to place. You're either going to place limit orders, which is putting minefields in, timed minefields, so the mines, they die over time. You'll be reactivated, but it's like a ticking, reverse of a ticking time bomb. And then you've got your snipers, your gunslingers, real time, waiting in the ambush to pull the trigger on a situation, a setup. Don't shoot till you see the whites of the moving average. There's two approaches. One of them takes less participation. You could set your trades up once a day. They expire at the end of the day. Then the other one's going to be kind of the heat of battle. Psychologically, if you're pulling the trigger on a live market and you buy and it goes against you and you're like, wow, oh shit, I guess I was wrong about this. Right now, um, that means you're a person waiting for a particular conditions to be met. Whereas all I'm waiting for my system is I'm waiting for the price to be hit, like the really old kind of they call it at Walmart. They call it the rollback price. Taking it back in time when it was cheaper, back the good old days. And the good old days just happens to be maybe a price. Maybe it's too expensive right now. And is the river rising or is the bridge sinking? So where are you at? Well, you don't know. I mean, and people are disorientated when they say, "Well, this is happening and the dollar's going down," and yeah, based against what? And does anybody give a shit? No. The deficit could be $5 zillion, gigazillion dollars. Guess what? You're still gonna drive your car. You're still gonna go to the store and get something to eat. Somebody's gonna make money growing food. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. It doesn't fucking matter. Because if it did, it would matter already. Well, look at the debt spiraling. I've been doing that for how long? These idiots are 40 seconds from building a fucking bomb. Yeah, we're 48 seconds away from building a bomb. Came a long way, man. Damn, right down to the minute. It's crazy. Anyways, I gotta take a nap. It's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous out there.